Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't.
Simon Sinek's famous TED Talk from 2009 has 60 million views so far on the TED website and several more million views on YouTube. His book, Start With Why, has sold more than 1 million copies, an absolute bestseller in management literature. But what if I told you that starting with why is not a good idea? What if I would not only claim but prove that the golden circle which he describes in this talk is an often inefficient and sometimes even dangerous framework to pitch an idea? And what if I would guarantee you that I am way more intelligent than... Okay, let's stop here and focus on his framework. A few years ago, I helped innovation teams at a large consumer electronics company develop pitch presentations. For the final pitches, I had invited an experienced investor and serial entrepreneur to provide additional feedback to help the teams. The first thing he said was something like this: please, don't start with why. All this start with why has destroyed pitches. What I'm most interested in as an investor is how you're going to make this happen. Those 3 sentences surprised me at the time. I thought it was a solitary opinion. Many people like to polarize. I myself have seen Simon Sinek's TED Talk several times, and I had admired Simon for his brilliant rhetoric and intelligence. His framework was impressively simple and convincing. His thesis: if we want to inspire people, we should start with the why when we communicate. When using a why framing, or in other words, communicating our vision and purpose, people come in droves.
People don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
Okay, Simon, I get it. But look at his glasses. He looks so smart with his glasses. I would believe anything he says with these glasses on. But let's take a closer look at what Simon actually says. The fact that the why is important for long-term success had already been established by Jim Collins and Jerry Porras in their 1994 bestseller, Built to Last, and also by many others before them. In this book, for example, they compare Merck, we are in the business of preserving and improving human life, with their competitor Pfizer. We aim to get a profit out of everything we do. So that a purpose is important for long-term success was nothing new. But what Simon is saying is that we should communicate the why before we communicate the how and the what. And that people buy something because of the why. In a paper from 2021, the researchers Falchetti, Cattani and Ferriani analyzed exactly this: how a new innovation should be framed to convince an audience. What they found in 4 experiments was that innovators, for example startup founders or corporate innovators, benefit from deploying framing strategies that are congruent with the expertise of the audience. Their main insight: lay people appreciate more novel ideas framed in abstract why terms, while experts such as professional investors or innovation managers prefer novel ideas framed in concrete how terms. In other words, the paper clearly showed that the why framing does not work particularly well with experts. So when should we put the why in the spotlight? Only when we want to convince the big masses and not experts. Here Simon Sinek is right when he says that why framing is important to achieve the big market success.
We all sit at various places at various times on the scale, but what the law of diffusion of innovation tells us is that if you want mass market success or mass market acceptance of an idea, you cannot have it until you achieve this tipping point between 15 and 18% market penetration, and then the system tips.
According to this, have the many startups and innovation teams simply misunderstood Simon Sinek? Was his advice not addressed to them at all? In a way, yes. But I also don't think that why framing is particularly promising for reaching the masses unless it's unique. We humans ignore everything that is known, whereas anything that is new or a mystery generates attention. And let's be honest, most companies don't have a unique why. So what should we take away from his talk? It is one thing: storytelling is what convinces people. And Simon has mastered the art of storytelling like no one else. The first important foundation for good storytelling is curiosity. Because only when people are curious do they pay attention to you and let themselves be influenced. In his revolutionary article, The Psychology of Curiosity, Sigmund Freud's great-grandson and Professor George Loewenstein describes the 4 factors that can generate involuntary curiosity. And he does that in the driest way imaginable. The 4 factors are: number 1, the posing of a question or presentation of a riddle or puzzle. That's the most common way to generate curiosity. Number 2, exposure to a sequence of events with an anticipated but unknown resolution. For example, the curiosity that arises when you watch a sporting event. Psst, I want to know who's going to win this curling match. Or when you watch a detective story, where you want to know who the murderer is. Number 3, the violation of expectations. Number 4, possession of information by someone else. For example, the name of a newborn that the parents have not yet revealed. Ooh, mean. So how does Simon get our attention? First, he uses an open-ended question as a hook at the beginning of his talk.
Why is Apple so innovative? Year after year after year after year, they're more innovative than all their competition. And yet, they're just a computer company. They're just like everyone else. They have the same access to the same talent, the same agencies, the same consultants, the same media. Then why is it that they seem to have something different?
He then suggests that he has information that no one else has.
About 3.5 years ago, I made a discovery. And this discovery profoundly changed my view on how I thought the world worked.
He claims that this information is counterintuitive, so it would go against our expectations.
As it turns out, all the great and inspiring leaders and organizations in the world, whether it's Apple or Martin Luther King or the Wright brothers, they all think, act, and communicate the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to everyone else.
And before we can think about it, he already starts drawing the golden circle. Now, of course, we want to solve this puzzle. The second important foundation of good storytelling is simplicity. Simon makes it very easy for us to follow him. There are only 3 building blocks: the why, the how, and the what. He simplifies biology and uses a very simplified model of the brain as an analogy. And the key message, people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it, is repeated 6 times. The third foundation for good storytelling is, of course, examples and stories. Simon uses 3 success stories: Apple, Martin Luther King, and the Wright brothers to support his thesis. All 3 stories are different enough to remain interesting, but are framed in a way that reinforces the same point. They all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Actually, the story about the Wright brothers is not strictly speaking about how they communicated at all. The why was merely the core of their motivation. And that a strong why is a great motivator is something that I would subscribe to any time. But no one notices that, since Simon does an excellent job of telling the story. To make the story about the Wright brothers even more exciting, Simon introduces an antagonist.
Most people don't know about Samuel Pierpont Langley.
Langley, the antagonist, is driven by fame, money, and greed, and is not at all intrinsically motivated. His only goal is to go down in history as an aviation pioneer. He's the perfect villain, the Goliath, who fails at the end of the story against our heroes, the Wright brothers, who are motivated by the why. Simon manages to keep us riveted from the first second to the last in his presentation. He himself does not use the why, how, what framework to inspire us. He uses a much older framework, and this framework is called storytelling. He creates curiosity, he simplifies to convey the message, and he backs it all up with 3 simple narratives that only half fit but are superbly told. Drop me a line in the comments with your thoughts on Simon Sinek and the Golden Circle. Whether you should put the why at the forefront of your story depends on the expertise of your audience and how unique your why is. But good storytelling plays a big role in all communications. And I think everyone can learn a lot from Simon Sinek. If you're interested in the psychology of innovation, please subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, feel free to click the like button. My name is Felix, and I see you in the next video.